Hello everyone, welcome back to the chapter 5, which is today's managerial accounting, Introduction to Managerial Accounting. We are using Introduction to Managerial Accounting book by Brewer, Garrison, Norsin. It's issued by McGraw-Hill, copyright 2022. All right, let's start it. Both systems are in terms of similarity between job order and process costing is that both systems assign material, labor, and overhead costs to the product in which they provide a mechanism for calculating unit product cost. Okay, both systems use the same manufacturing account, including manufacturing overhead, raw materials here, work in process, as well as finished good. The flow of cost through the manufacturing system account is basically the same in terms of both in terms of job order or process costing. Okay, let's look at the difference between the two. Job order costing is that it has many different jobs that are worked on during each period, with each job having unique production requirements, and costs are accumulated here by individual job, and unit costs are computed by job on the job cost sheet. While the process costing is a single product that is produced either on a continuous basis or for a long period of time. All unit or product are identical and costs are accumulated by department. Unit costs are computed by the department. Okay, let's start the concept check. In terms of concept check, what are the things? Process costing is used for products that are different and produced simultaneously. A. B. Similar and produced continuously. C. Individual unit produced to customer specification. D is purchased from vendors. Take 1 or 2 minutes, pause, and then try to answer the questions. Alright, so the correct answer is B, which is similar and produced continuously. Okay, let's look at the next one. Processing department is any unit in any organization where materials, labor, or overhead are added to the product. The activities performed in the process department are performed uniformly on all productions. A good example, if I see a processing department, what I really like to see is in the automotive sector. They are all in uniform, or in any motorcycle industry. Furthermore, the output of processing department must be homogeneous. Product in a process costing environment typically flow in the consequences from one department to the other. Okay. Learning objective number 1. We must record the flow of materials, labor, and overhead through the process costing system. How are you going to do that? Look at the flow of material, labor, and overhead costs in terms of part 1. So you have direct materials. Example, in case of making samosa, you're going to need flour and sugar and salt and other spices. You need a direct labor, somebody to do the work, and manufacturing overhead and others such as utilities costs. So when all these three combine, it's going to be work in process. You're going to roll it up to make samosa, and then you still have to cook it to create finished goods. While it is sold, it's going to be cost of goods sold. Okay, so just a simple one: making samosa, selling samosa, and a food truck. All right, the same thing. Part 2 is job. So you combine these three, you're going to create jobs. Job order system trace and apply money cost to the job. It's going to be finished goods and cost of goods sold in terms of the job order costing system. Okay, then we go into the next one, which is the same three components going to be processing department. Costs are traced and applied to the department in each process cost system. Okay, finished goods and cost of goods sold. Flow of raw material costs. For the purpose of the example, assume there are two processing departments. Excuse me. Example, department A and department B. In the case of samosa, for example, one is uh, mixing the dough to create the dough, and then the other one is cooking. Okay, we will use the accounting journal and entries. Okay, example here: raw materials, direct materials. For example, flour. Process department A is mixing the dough. That include all the spices and sugar and salt is going to be here. Once this done, it's gonna go here, process department also, doing direct material such as cooking oil. Okay. All right, as in flow journal entry form, you're gonna do it like this. As in job order costing, materials are drawn from the storeroom using a material requisition form. Materials can be added in any processing department. The following journal entry records the issue row department to processing department A and department B. You're gonna book it like this: work in process department A, debit; work in process department B, debit; and raw materials credit. Okay. In terms of flow of labor costs and the T count, salary and wage payable. Oops, let me just go back here. I have accidentally pushed the wrong button. Direct labor. You're gonna go here, direct labor in the department A, the people that do the flouring, do the mixing of the dough and the spices, and the people who do the cooking here. Okay. All right, so in the process costing, labor costs are traced department, not to individual job. The following journal entry report the labor costs recorded in department A and department B. So work in process department A, debit; work in process department B, debit; salaries and wage credit here. In terms of the manufacturing overhead, the actual overhead applied to work in the process will be applied in department A, such as utilities, costs like gas, water, etc. You divided that equally. And then in terms of process costing, in terms of job order costing, predetermined overhead rates are usually used. Manufacturing overhead cost is applied in accordance to the amount of the allocation base that is incurred in department. How are you going to do that? You're going to book the same thing: work in process department A, debit; work in process department A, debit; and manufacturing overhead credit here. Okay, so you're going to here transfer the A to B. There you go. Okay, this is how it goes about in the detail side, in the process flow. Okay. And then, once processing has been completed in the department unit, are transferred to the next department for further processing. Work in process department B, debit; work in process department is credit. And then it's gonna go all the way, cost of good from department B, cost of good manufacturers, all the way here. This is, remember, it's transfer from A here, okay? Debit side and credit side, cost of goods sold, go all the way to finished good manufacturer, debit there. After processing has been finished, in department B, the cost of completed unit are transferred to the finished good in inventory account. Finished goods is debit, work in process department B is credit. And then the finished good here, cost of credit side is gonna go all the way to the T count of cost of goods sold. That's how it goes. Finally, when a customer order is filled, unit are sold, the cost of unit is transferred to the cost of goods sold. How are you gonna book it? Like CGS is debit, finished good is credit. So that's how it goes in terms of the posting side. Excuse me. Okay, process costing within there are three concepts. Part one. Okay. In process costing, each department need to calculate two number of financial reporting purpose: the cost of its ending work in the process inventory and the cost of its completed unit that was transferred to the next stage of the production process. The key of deriving these two numbers is calculating the unit cost with each department. The key one concept is there are two methods they're using it: weighted average method and FIFO method. Okay, I mentioned to you in the previous chapter that LIFO is not used anymore. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when I was still studying my MBA, we are still using the LIFO. Now in the system, the only two methods that is being used and acknowledged is weighted average cost, FIFO, and the other one is specific average method. The weighted average method is a process costing, calculate unit cost by combining cost and output from the current and prior periods. Okay, current and prior periods. The FIFO method is, again, I mentioned to you in the last previous video, FIFO is a milk system which covered the chapter 5.7, calculate the unit based solely on the cost and output of the current period. So characteristic of the weighted average method, there are two of them. This method makes no distinction between work is done, prior and current periods. It blends together the unit and cost from the prior and current periods. Okay, that's the first characteristic. Number two, equivalent unit of production for the department are the number of units transferred to the next department. plus the equivalent unit in the department ending work in process inventory. So key concept number 2, each department need to calculate separate unit costs for each type of manufacturing that it costs. So job cost, process costing is more complex. You need to provide more details. Okay, that's the key part. To simplify things, direct labor and manufacturing costs overhead are combined into one classification of overhead costs called conversion costs. These are direct materials in terms of dollar amount here, and product cost and conversion in terms of direct labor and manufacturing overhead. Okay, this is the typical charts of the product cost and dollar amount for the three components. Key concept number 3, equivalent unit is defined as the product of the number of partially completed units and percentage completion of those units. Okay, equivalent unit need to be calculated because the department usually has some partially completed unit in its beginning and ending inventories. This partially completed unit complicate the division of a department output for a given period and the unit cost that should be assigned to the output. Example of unit is number of partially completed unit times percentage of completion. The definition of equivalent unit is the product of the number of partially completed unit and the percentage completion of those units with respect to the processing department. Roughly speaking, the equivalent unit is the number of complete units that could have been obtained from the materials and effort that went into partially complete units. Assume department A has 500 units in its ending work and process inventory that are 60% complete with respect to the processing in the department. These 500 partial complete units are equivalent to 300 fully complete units. For example, 400 times 60%, which is 300. That's how you get that number, 300. The department ending work in the process inventory will contain 300 units for the period. So let's do a concept check number 2. For the current period, Jonas started 15,000 units, completed 10,000 units, leaving 5,000 units in process of 30% completion. How many unit production did Jonas have for the period? A, B, C, or D? Take a 1 minute break while for answering this. Okay. A is 10,000, B is 11,500, C is 13,500, D is 15,000. Let's get the answers. All right, let's get the answer for this. 10,000 unit is here, plus 5,000 unit times 30%, what did you get here in process, okay, which is this 5,000 times 30, we got 1,500, so you add down, become 11,500. Compute the equivalent unit of production using the weighted average method. Step 1, compute equivalent unit production cost, part 1. Smith County reported the following activity in the assembly department for the month of June. Work in process June 1, you got 300. Materials 40%, conversion 20%. Unit set in production is 6,000. Unit complete transfer out in the department is 5,400. Work in process is June 30th. So 900 here. 60% materials, 30% conversion. So how are you going to calculate this? Begin the equivalent unit completed and transfer out is 79. Department in June 5,400. Unit completed, transfer materials is 5,400. Conversion is 5,100. So how are you going to resolve this step by step? Work in process, June 30th. Okay. You have the equivalent production in ending work in process. Respect to material for the month is 540 units. How do you get this one? 900 times 60, you got 540. So you got equivalent 5940. Okay. Let's go back to the previous logic here. Okay. This is the key part, 900. There you go. Okay. This is where you get this number from. Okay. All right. Let's go back again to the logic to make sure you understand where the 900 is coming from. Okay. And then next one is 300 unit times 30%, 270 here, the conversion period. Why you got 30%? Why is the other one 60%? Again, go back to the logic given to you. 60% materials, conversion is 30%, work in process is 900. That's where you plug in that number coming from. Okay? And then, once you get the total, equivalent total production, all which equal to unit completed and transferred plus equivalent unit remain in work in process. So materials. Step 1. Compute the equivalent units per products. Beginning work in process 300 units, 40% completed. 5,100 units started and completed. Ending work in process 900 units completed. So 5,400 is where it's coming from. 540, which is 900 times 60, you got 5,940 in terms of equivalent unit in productions. Okay? And then for the conversion, it's the same story. 5,400, you got 30%, 30%, you got 270, you got 5,670. Okay? That's how you get that number. Compute. Objective number 3, compute the cost per unit cost using the weighted average method. So, beginning work in process 300 units, materials 40% complete, conversion 20% complete, 3,920, production start during 6,000 units, production complete during 5,400 units, cost added to production in June is 118,621, conversion cost will be 81113, ending processing will be 900%. This is again, material will be 60, conversion is 30%. So this is step 1, okay? Step 2, you're going to use a weighted average. So you're going to use this weighted average. The formula completing cost per unit is cost per unit, cost plus beginning work in process plus cost added during divided by equivalent unit of the production. It is a separate way, a different calculation. So you have 2 periods, okay? Current and prior period. And then here's the schedule cost for equivalent unit informations. You're going to plug in that numbers, materials, okay, conversions, and then cost added in assembly, materials, and 81 here, okay, and then the total equivalent is 5,940, 5,670. We're going to look at the detail where it's got in the next slide. 127 divided by 5,940, you got the $21, okay, there you go, cost equivalent unit. And then for this one, 85,050 divided by 670, you got $15. So you're gonna cost per equivalent unit will be $21 plus $15, you got 36. So that's how you're gonna calculate, okay? So you got this number divided by 590, you got $21. You got this number 85 for conversion divided by 560, you got $15. Add both, become $36. That's the schedule of the cost equivalent formula using weighted average methods. Let's assign unit using the weighted average method. Let's look at this one. All right, ending winter inventory equivalent unit is 540, conversion to 70. Then you got this number $21, $15. Okay, then you got this number. Okay, you can multiply 11,340. Okay, 540 times 21, 200 times 15. You got 15,390. Okay, then you got transferred unit 5,400, 5,400. And then cost per unit $21.15. And then you gotta calculate there the same thing. Okay, 194. That's part 5. There's 3 steps there, guys. 3 steps. The job order costing is more complex. You have to acquire a 3-step process. Objective number 5, prepare cost reconciliations, report using weighted average method. When you do that, prepare the part 1, reconciliations. Okay, cost to be accounted for, cost at the beginning of work in process inventory is this one, 10,000. Cost added to production 199. Cost to be accounted for is 2009. Okay, and then cost accounted are as follows: 15390, and then you got cost unit transfer out 194,400. So they are the same when you reconcile. Okay, all right. Operating cost thing is a hybrid job order and process costing because it processes attributes of both a process. Operation costing is commonly used when batches of many different products pass through the same processing department. Similar to job order costing, a shoemaker may charge each batch of shoes for its own specific materials. Shoe made with expensive leather would be charged accordingly, as were shoes made with expensive or synthetic materials. Similar to process costing, shoe manufacturing may accumulate the labor and overhead costing by department and assigning the same conversion cost per unit to each shoe regardless the shoe style. Okay, so the largest shoe manufacturers for OEM, either China, and in Indonesia and Vietnam, now is Bangladesh, all this. So the Nike, Adidas, they are sources to this part of the world. Why? Because of cheaper labor and cheaper materials when they source it. All right, so that's basically conclude this chapter 5. Hopefully we can see again in the next chapter for managerial accounting. Thank you. Bye bye.